Howdy folks, and welcome back to Pool School. In today's episode, I'm going to introduce you to a product that will help you make repairs to small leaks in your PVC pipes, plumbing, and even some other things around your pool. So what do you say we get to it? Alrighty, before we get started, I want to thank you once again for watching this video. Remind you to like it if you do, subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already, and please share my channel with everyone you know who owns a pool. Don't forget to also check out my membership website, poolschooler.com. It's full of more exclusive content that will help you save even more money servicing your pool yourself. So every once in a while you come across a product that helps you do a lot of different things when it comes to servicing a pool or repairing things in a pool. And this is one of those products. This product is called Plast-aid, and it really is basically a chemical plastic weld that helps you with a myriad of things, like if you have a leak in a PVC pipe or at a PVC pipe joint, if you have a small hole in a PVC pipe, this stuff is fantastic for doing that. It's super easy to use, it's not very expensive. And you just mix what you need and you apply it and it works great. Okay, when the product comes out of the container that it comes in, it comes with the repair powder and the liquid, and you're gonna mix those together. It comes with a little cup that you can use to measure. I don't use this to mix it in. The one thing it doesn't come with its own plastic cup. I guess you could use the bottom of this as a tray. But I just say get a plastic cup, don't get a styrofoam one because it will melt the styrofoam. Get a plastic cup and then you'll mix these together, and I'll show you on the back of this. It says basically pour the powder in your cup, add liquid in the powder, saturate it and mix. And again, they don't give you an actual saturation or ratio, but what I do is I pour some powder into a plastic cup, and I'll show you that in a minute. And I pour a little bit of this in here, don't overdo that, just pour some in there. Use your little stir stick, stir it up in the plastic cup. And then as long as it's wet, you want to keep it wet. You don't want it super, super thick, but you also don't want it like water runny. You want it kind of wet, but malleable, all right? So let's go and check that out. Like I said, I'm gonna do this with a Hayward large inline leaf canister that we need to repair. Rather than have my client buy an entire new one, I can just do a very quick repair and it'll probably be stronger than it was to begin with. Hey, one thing to make really important note of, when you mix that product and use the product, the Plast-aid, make sure you are in a well-ventilated area. So this area in here, right now I'm in my garage and the garage is closed. I would not do it in here. In fact, I will either open my garage door and both the garage door itself and the side door, or I will do it outside. So that way, again, these fumes can be very dangerous, they can be toxic, so I don't want to be sitting there inhaling all that, all right? So make sure you're in a well-ventilated area. If anything, probably best to be outdoors. Okay, so this is the leaf canister in question. This is what goes in here. This is the bottom of it. And this piece is basically glued in there. You can tell the glue job was just whatever. But over time, this gets brittle. And sometimes if you drop this by accident, sometimes this thing just breaks free. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the Plast-aid to put that back in there like that. Now, rather than coat both parts, I'm gonna put it in like this. I'm gonna flip it up on end, and then I'm just gonna put the Plast-aid around this area, and what it will do is it will basically weld that plastic, and it'll form a molecular bond with the existing plastic and seal it in place. Okay, so again, I'm outside. I'm going to use some powder, some of the liquid, put it in here, mix it up. Now, and I'm going to use this to spread it around with, but when I do that, I mean, obviously this probably won't be able to be reused, so you can get popsicle sticks all day long, so it's no big deal. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so this is my makeshift tripod here. I'm gonna open this product up. Again, I haven't used this at all. So I'm gonna take some of the powder, put it in here. And again, I'm gonna use a decent amount, just so I got enough, because I'd rather make too much than too little and then have to like stop. Take a little of this, the liquid. Again, it has a little kind of shaker top thing. Just put a little bit of liquid in there. And again, I don't wanna make it super watery, but I do want it wet. So I'm gonna sprinkle some in there. And again, I'm gonna mix it up. You notice I didn't even use the cup, the measuring cup. Because again, they don't give you a specific as to what to use. They just tell you to make sure that you mix it in there and you make sure it's wet, and it always says apply wet. So I'm mixing this up nice and good, just like that. Now I'm gonna turn my camera up so you guys can see what I have. That's the mixture right there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put that on top of this right here. All right, so I'm gonna try and do this with one hand. Okay, so I'm actually just gonna pour this on here and see if I can get away with just pouring it in there. Actually, I'm gonna need to use 2 hands, so I'm gonna do this without you watching. So there it is. You notice I built it up quite a bit, and this stuff will harden pretty quickly, but I wouldn't play with it. You just kind of put it on there and let it sit on there for a while till it hardens. They don't even give you a time of how long it takes for it to actually harden, but they just say, you know, pour the powder in a cup, add liquid powder until powder is saturated and mixed, right? You can add color if you wanted to, and then apply, and consistency suits use. Doesn't really say how long it'll take for it to dry, but typically I found if you give it 30 to 40 minutes, it'll dry pretty hard. It also says that this will not necessarily molecularly bond with all plastics, but I don't want to play with it. I'm gonna let it just sit on there. But you notice I built it up quite a bit, all right? Can you see all that? So I built it up quite a bit. I'm just gonna let it sit on that for as long as I need to, maybe an hour or so. I'll come back and check it out in a little bit. I'm gonna lean it up so it doesn't fall over, like that. And we're just gonna leave it there. You notice also, one thing that I noticed when I worked with it is this starts to harden pretty quickly. So make sure you've got all your parts ready to go and in a way that you can actually get on there as soon as possible, because the longer it sits in there, again, you notice this is already really hard. I mean, it's hard. I mean, I can't even get my nail into that. It's already hardened so much. So it's rock hard already. So I'm gonna leave this on there for about an hour. We'll come back and see how well it held. And then as far as this, I'm just gonna take it and toss it in the trash because I really don't need it anymore. Just toss it in the trash, making sure it's dry. If it's not dry, I don't want to throw it in there when it's wet, because again, you got those vapors. They could be toxic, they could be flammable. I wouldn't want to mess with it. So I do save this. Notice I didn't even have to use it. But again, I just mix it to where the powder and the liquid mix together. So I have a fairly wet mixture, but not like so liquidy that it doesn't hold on things. And then I put that on there with the popsicle stick, and that's it. It's really simple. Okay, gang, so I didn't wait a full hour or 45 minutes. It's been about 20 minutes maximum. And this thing is solid on there. I mean, it's on there, it's done. It's stuck on there for good. And again, I'm not gonna sit there and bang on it, but again, I'm putting some pressure on it. It's not going anywhere. So that's an example of how to use this particular Plast-aid product to fix something like this. Now, I've looked online. I went online to Amazon, and I've seen this leaf canister. It's a Hayward large leaf canister, inline leaf canister. They go anywhere from $85 to $140. So again, when you've got a canister like this, I mean, there's an inner bag that can be replaced, and you can get those. But once this breaks off, you're done. So that Plast-aid is one of those lifesavers that instead of spending an additional $90 to $100 and something for a new canister, I can just go ahead and put this on there and it's good to go. And that'll extend the life of this thing a whole lot longer, okay? So that's one of the uses of that Plast-aid. As I said before, and I don't really have any examples of it, that Plast-aid stuff, I've used it on PVC pipes when there's a leak around the joint or there's a hole in the pipe. Sometimes if you have a pipe, let's say you had like an inline chlorinator that goes in the plumbing around your, like a rainbow chlorinator, and it's got a little tube that goes in there, and there's a little you have to drill a hole to attach the tube to bleed water through it to get the chlorine introduced to it. Sometimes when you plug that, the plug doesn't work very well. You can take this Plast-aid stuff, take that little hole that you created, take the little adapter that goes on it, take that off, and take that Plast-aid and put that on top of that. Let it sit there for about 15-20 minutes till it hardens, and it's going to seal that so it won't leak, and so you don't have to go there and make a new plumbing cut and make a union and all that kind of stuff. So again, it is great for PVC repairs as well. Also, I've never tried it, but I would suspect that if you have a crack in your pump, in your pool pump basket lid, in that lid, you probably could use it to seal that as well. Again, all of it's going to do is going to save you some money. So there you are, folks. That's the product that I really love. It's called Plast-aid. I hope it made sense. Again, I'm going to put a link to where you can get it in the description below this video. If you have any questions or comments, you can always leave them in the comment section below this video. Or as always, you can email me directly. My email address will come across the bottom of the screen. It is kennypoolschool@gmail.com. I want to thank you once again for watching. Remind you to like, subscribe, and share. Please do not forget to check out my membership website, poolschooler.com. And until we meet again, remember, have fun, be safe, and always watch those kids and elderly folk and pets around water. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.